Hey everyone, it's May. Welcome to another episode of The May Lee Show. Glad you could join me. This episode is going to be a very powerful one. It's going to be emotional, and I know it's going to be inspirational as well. So I'm going to get to that in 1 second. But before I get to that, just something that I want to highlight about Penguin Random House, the publisher. This month and every month, Penguin Random House invites readers to uplift AAPI stories and hashtag read Asian authors. From books like Kathy Park Hong's vital new essay collection, Minor Feelings, to Kevin Kwan's fabulous beach read that also touches on deeper issues of identity and acceptance, sex and vanity. And if some of you recall, I had Kevin on my show last year about the book, and it's fantastic. I read it. Definitely a good read. These are stories that make us laugh, cry, and feel seen. So throughout the month of May, Penguin Random House is donating 15% of their site profits to Asian Americans advancing justice, up to $30,000. So find your next read at penguinrandomhouse.com or go to bit.ly/read, capital R, Asian, capital A, authors, capital A. Okay, so check it out. You'll see a whole list of fantastic books by Asian authors when you go to their website. All right, now to the episode. Like I said, this episode is very powerful. I interview a man who was a victim of a terrible, terrible crime. And he is Noel Quintana. He is a Filipino man who was assaulted on the New York subway back in February. And many of you might remember the story. He was on the subway and a stranger, unprovoked, slashed Noel's face from cheek to cheek with a box cutter. That in itself is horrific. But what is more astounding is what happened after. No one on the subway, not one single person, helped Noel, even when he was asking for help. After his face was slashed, not one single person. The perpetrator got away. Noel got off the subway and had to find help himself. So that is just beyond heartbreaking, of course, to live through that. But the reason why I came into this story and this interview with Noel is because just less than 2 weeks ago, a woman contacted me on Instagram telling me about his story, which I knew, but then she gave me an update saying that she felt so compelled to help this man who had been assaulted. And because of all the anti-Asian hate crimes that have been taking place, she reached out to him after he was cut and injured. And as a stranger, she reached out to him and said that she wanted to help him in some way. And then she also found somebody else on Instagram, another stranger, and asked her if she wanted to help him as well. So they came together and they started a GoFundMe for him to try to raise funds for his medical costs, etc. But what's happened since is that there have been other costs that are building for him, including transportation to and from work. He now has to go back to work. But understandably, he has incredible anxiety and fear about taking the subway again, right? I mean, it makes sense, right? That's where he was assaulted. So if he takes an Uber or a Lyft to get to and from work, it's $100 round trip. Well, that's unreasonable. He can't do that every day. His workplace is being somewhat understanding, but they also need him to come into the office. He's an administrative assistant for a mental health facility. So because of that, that's obviously a cost that he did not expect after being assaulted. And then he also is going to have more surgery and more therapy for his injury because it's so severe. And so these are all costs that are building up. And his GoFundMe has done okay, but it hasn't done as well as some of the other GoFundMes for other victims of anti-Asian hate. And Katrina, one of the women, has a theory about that. She said, she feels that people are really suspicious about her motivation and Molly, the other woman's motivation, because they don't They're not relatives of Noel's. They didn't know him before, and they were strangers before. And so people are thinking, is this a scam? Can we trust it? So therefore, there hasn't been that sort of a greater response. And so they really want to be able to raise at least $100,000 for Noel's cause. So she came to me asking, is there any way I can help and get the word out? And of course, after hearing the story, I said, absolutely, yes. Let's get you all on the show to talk about what's going on. Because not only is it important to hear directly from Noel, because he is the victim, we need to know, what these victims are going through firsthand. We need to know how they're doing, because once the media goes away, once all of us get back to business, they're still trying to survive with what happened to them, and they will for the rest of their lives. So it's important to hear from him, but even, more beautiful, the beautiful part of the story that I was so, that I was so attracted to is the fact that two strangers felt compelled to reach out to this stranger who was victim to do anything they could because of their compassion. And this is a story about the beautiful aspect of humanity. What happened to Noel is the ugly side of humanity. This is the beautiful side of what humans are capable of doing when they come together. So I invited Noel, I invited Katrina, and I invited Molly to all come on the show to talk about what happened and their relationship and what they're hoping for. All right, so here's that interview. All right, let me welcome Noel Quintana, and then Katrina Teroy, and Molly Ma. Welcome to the show, all of you. It's so good to meet all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to meet you too.
Well, let's start with Noel, of course. Noel, I've been thinking about talking to you for a long time since we were finally introduced, by Katrina. And I just was like, gosh, how do I even begin to have this conversation with you? And so I'm just going to jump right in. We all know your story, at least most of us, right? Because it was such a horrific incident that happened to you on the subway in New York. First of all, tell me how you're doing now.
Well, I really don't know because I thought I was okay. So I was meeting my psychotherapist. Actually, I have two, one from my insurance and the other one from the government, I guess. So when the care manager from the government asked me if I have counseling, and I said yes. And she asked me again if I want one. I said yes, but she said, "Don't just tell them that you don't have any." So she gave me two. So if ever I'm talking to them, I'm okay because they're there and they asked me to do some exercises. They asked me to do some walking outside, which I did. So I thought I was ready, but then I wasn't ready to go to the subway yet.
Wow.
But they still prompted me to do so. But when my boss asked me to report to the facility physically, I said right away yes. So I did. I tried for a week, and it.
When you say Noel, when you say facility, you mean work, right? To go to work.
Yes, where I worked. Yes, yeah. Because I was working. I was working from home since then, but they do now need me to work physically. My presence there in the office. So I said yes, but when I did it for a few days, I felt so aggravated and because I'm so anxious. that I have to go there very early in the morning, and I only eat something because I'm in a hurry. But I couldn't go out to buy something food, unlike before where I could just buy food and eat there. Now I still need to go home before I could eat, so I feel busy. So I thought that I wasn't okay yet. I might need some a few more weeks to work from home. And I told that to my councils, and but they told me that I have to face it. Actually, they want me to go to the subway already, but
Wow.
I can't. So
Noel, it's understandable, obviously, because that's where you were
yeah,
attacked.
yeah,
And again, a very traumatic attack. Look, you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, but I have to ask you the question of the day that you were attacked. Do you remember it vividly? Do you remember everything
yes,
about it? You do. Okay.
yes,
We've heard the description from you, in different news reports that this man just all of a sudden slashed you with a box cutter across your face, and we can see the scar where you had
yeah.
100 stitches because of this. Um, Tell me, when this was happening, I'm sure you were in shock. And the worst part of this story for me, and I think for a lot of people, is that nobody helped you.
Correct. Yeah, correct.
Tell me what that was
Actually,
like. I mean, I can't imagine being attacked in this way and then seeing that nobody helped you.
yeah. Actually, it happened on February 3rd because I'm going to work that day, and I'm taking the L train, and because the L train is full, so there's no more seat available. So I stood on the door side of the other side of the train, which so that I won't be able to be a hindrance from people coming in and out of the train. And on the Bedford stop, a man came inside, but he didn't go inside, but just he stood beside me. And a few minutes later, he kicked my bag, my tote bag. So I moved back. I moved back and placed my back in front of me, away from him, so that if I thought if it disturbed him, it won't disturb him anymore. But a few more minutes, he kicked my bag, and that's the time when I both went inside the train and in the aisle of the train, and I said, "What's wrong with you?" And then he came to me and slashed me. I didn't realize that he slashed me because I didn't feel anything, but when I saw the people in front, the other people seated, that they were so shocked. I put my hands on my face, and it was oozing with blood. So I asked for help, and I also saw his hand holding a backscatter, and he timely slashed me when the train stopped on the first avenue. So he fled. He fled. So when I asked for help and nobody helped, I thought I would die. I was so scared that I thought I would die. And when nobody's helping me, I don't want to stay there and be dragged bleeding while nobody's helping me. So I thought I would get some help outside the train, and I have to walk from end to end of the station because that's where the booth was, and I knew that there's somebody there who could call 911 and ask for the police. But there was a lot of bleeding going on because I was taking blood thinner. And yeah, and there's a lot of blood. I was so afraid. I was really so afraid that I would die. I was thinking of my siblings, that I couldn't talk to them because we talk to them every night. It's so scary. And there are a lot of the people in the train. They use their phones all the time. Most of them use their phones all the time, and they even videoed some trivial things. But this time, I didn't even see a video regarding that incident or regarding uh, reg- even the video of that person, because the only video that I've seen for that person was he when he exited
Yeah.
the station.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
No,
yeah,
no,
it
I
was
mean,
so scary.
I'm getting emotional, and I see that Katrina and Molly are too, and they already know this story, and you're getting emotional too, recalling it,
Yeah.
because it's so devastating and so shocking that people, like you're saying, they're on their phones. They could have easily videotaped, they could have easily called 911, they could have easily done something, and they chose not to. So I'm wondering, from your perspective, after being victimized like this, I mean, how do you not lose faith in humanity? How do you not become bitter about, life and people and, where you live?
Because when it happened, and there were also a lot of calls coming in from friends and family, I realized that it's not the end of the world. So I have to, um, and besides, they already did the operations on the face, and I was alive. So that's something to thank for. But even when I was at the operating room, and they're doing some. Well, actually, I was still in the emergency room, and they were still doing the stitches, and I could still feel the blood oozing. I said, "Oh, there's still blood." Yeah, yeah, and I'm still restless about it because it didn't stop yet, and that's the reason why they asked me that they want me to bring it to the operating room and have it operated and have it done it there, and I agreed. So they operated it for almost 3 hours. So when that happened, and it all went better better than expected, because it would have been worse, then I realized that there's still hope, and and thank God I'm still alive. And that's what the council also telling me all about, that I should be thankful because I'm alive, and because it could have been worse than
Yeah.
what it.
Yeah. And no, and we are grateful that you are alive and here to tell your story.
Yeah.
And so thank you so much for being so open about that. And I guess also what gives you hope is these two women who are joining us in this
Yes.
interview, right? Katrina and
Yes.
Molly.
Correct.
I mean,
Correct.
who let's be very clear. Katrina and Molly did not know each other before. They were total strangers.
Yeah.
But they connected, and I want to hear this story about exactly how this happened. They somehow connected because of you, Noel, because they felt compelled to help you. And so, who wants to first start us off with this story, Katrina or Molly? Because I know everybody wants to know how this happened and how you came together and are still helping Noel after 3.5 months since this incident happened. So, Katrina, do you want to start off and tell me how you guys met and what happened?
Sure. Definitely. So I guess to start, I just wanted to say that thank you. Thank you, May, for allowing us to speak today, for allowing us to share. Personally, you really have given me so much strength and hope. I hear you. You call out people when they're not treating people, like the right way or fairly. And so I just want to say thank you. You are definitely been a role model to me, a leader, and just overall a badass woman. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's my favorite term. So thank you so much for calling me that. Yes.
Sorry for saying that, but you are an amazing
Don't
woman.
apologize.
Thank you. So before I basically heard Noel's story, I was never really, I want to say, active in social media. In fact, I have Facebook, I have Instagram, but I don't really post anything there or check what people are doing. I kind of just stayed away from social media because I felt that there's so much going on and I just couldn't handle it. I mean, COVID itself, it just felt like I was so anxious and stressed out all the time.
Yep.
And I guess fast forward to this year, February, that's when I realized, okay, I think it's time for me to see what's happening in our country. And yeah, I mean, I basically found out what's happening in the Asian American community. And the very first story I read and heard was Noel's. And it was already 20 days after his attack when I found out his story. But that feeling was so personal. Like I felt like I was punched in my stomach. Like I felt that Noel could have been my father. You know, he could have been my brother, he could have been my friend. And just to hear him say that no one helped him, he literally had to step out of the train and look for someone to help him. And I just felt that I don't know if I would be sad that this happened to him or be sad that people didn't help. And so I guess a combination of being sad and mad, but I just know that I had to do something about it. And I felt depressed, and I just felt that if I don't reach this man, Noel, I just feel that I won't be able to sleep at all. And so that's what I did. I basically prayed that God will find a way for us to meet, and social media, amazing. I was able to meet him on Facebook, and I called him up on Facebook. I was actually surprised, like he picked up, and so I saw his face. It's like, oh man, it's really Noel.
Wow.
And so really at first, my goal was just to ask him how he's doing. I didn't want him to tell me what happened to him because everybody at that point, I felt like, knows about his story. So I just really wanted to ask him how he's doing and if there's anything I can do for him. And so basically, he told me that he can't sleep at night. So I told him, I said, okay, that's something definitely I'm going to be praying about. I'm going to be telling people about, about that so we can pray for you. And then as conversation went along, I found out that he basically hadn't gotten any financial help. And in my mind, if this is my dad, my brother, my friend, he's actually Filipino. I'm Filipino too. So I feel like, hey, who knows, or even be blood related somewhere. But I just thought, I would be knocking everyone's door, everybody's door to get some type of financial help, And so as soon as we got off the phone, I didn't tell Noel what I'm about to do. And I basically went on Instagram and looked for people who would want to help me. And I came across Molly's name on Instagram, which is _Asian hate. And I thought, hey, maybe this person have some type of resources they can help. This person can help me out. So yeah, I just DM her and told her, hey,
let's let Molly then pick up the story.
Sure, yes, definitely. Go ahead, Molly.
So she reaches out to you on Instagram, just randomly. You don't know her.
Nope.
And she says, can you help? And so what are you thinking? And what happened from that point on?
Well, at that point, the Instagram account that I ran was very small. It had, I don't even think like 100 followers at that point.
Okay.
I was answering every DM I got. I was trying to get it out there because the original purpose for the account that I started it on February 21st. The original purpose of that was to get word out there about protests and rallies against Asian hate. So I was trying to respond to everybody possible. So I saw that Katrina had DM'd me and I didn't really think twice about it. So I just started typing out this. I think your original question was just like how you could help. And I have a little bit of experience in organizing work. So I just decided I'll tell her everything that I know. So I just started typing out this long message back. And Yeah, that was how it started. I didn't really think
Wow.
about it that much.
Okay, so then you two start coordinating and you decide to start a GoFundMe for Noel to help with his immediate costs, right? With this, medical expenses and things like that. And so far, I looked at it today. It looks like it's at just over $50,000,
Yay.
which is phenomenal. But there is an issue that Noel, you're going to need more medical coverage because you're going to need further surgeries, right? Right now, from what I understand, you have nerve damage, so you can't feel parts of your face,
Yeah,
right?
this
And
one.
it still does. You still do have some pain, I guess, when you bite down. Or tell me what your situation is now.
Yes, I saw the surgeon last week also because I just felt that I have clumped inside my nose, so and there's still numbness here,
Okay.
and sometimes when I'm eating, I bit my lips because I really don't know
Because of the number,
why. So
right?
yeah, but she was telling me that I still need some more time to heal,
Yep.
and and pick up from on what to do next after a few more months or a
Right.
few more.
Well, so Molly, let's go back to you then. It's great that you've been able to raise $50,000 so far, but I know that you guys want to raise more, 100,000, because again of what Noel still requires. And on top of that, this is the part where I'm like, wait a minute. It's the whole idea that Noel is expected to return to work and he doesn't want to take the subway. And God, of course you don't want to take the subway. That's where you were attacked. So you still have that anxiety about taking, public transportation. Therefore, if he needs to go to work, he has to take an Uber or a Lyft, which is $100 round trip. Because Noel, you live in Brooklyn and your office is all the way up in Harlem. That's a long way away. For people who don't know the lay of the land in the New York metro area, that's pretty far. So this is also an issue that you guys are trying to tackle, right? So do you have a strategy? I mean, what are you learning about this? Because I know you guys have tried Access a Ride, but they're saying because he's mobile and he can walk, that's not something that they can cover. So this seems incredibly unfair to me.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't mind, Molly, I kind of want to share a little bit about that because I know Molly, you told me to tell you what I find out, right? What I would find out from them. And just yesterday, I called Access A Ride and told them, hey, my name is Katrina and my friend is Noel Quintana. And surprisingly, because I asked them, do you live in New York? And this person said, yes. I said, well, do you know who Noel Quintana is? And she's like, no. I said, you know what? Why don't you Google his name and find out what happened to him? Because right now, what I'm trying to do is get him, his application to be approved because you guys denied his application to get a discount basically for his work or his right to work. And they told me, well, just tell Noel to apply again. And I said, hear me out here. I said, unless you know the man, this amazing person, so you ask him to try again. And then what if he gets denied a second time? I don't want to put him in that situation where he's emotionally feel like rejected again by our society. And she told me, well, there are other people who would apply 10 times before they would get approved. And I said, 10 times? No way on earth would I put my friend Noel in that situation where he has to apply 10 times. So I said, well, you can also take it to court. You can take it to court and tell them that you don't like the way we ran, or I guess the organization. And I said, Noel has gone through so much and he still has his own battles that he's still trying to win. And so for him to to fight this one, to fight you guys, is just not fair.
That's not
So
fair.
yeah, so that's what we have going on for him, and I just don't think it's fair. And he has a doctor's note really stating that he has panic attacks, he has anxiety, stress, and all those valid reasons why he shouldn't take public transportation.
Right. Right. I mean, look, we treat people with trauma. We should treat them with kindness and compassion and understanding, and give them the aid that they need, is particularly now when anti-Asian hate has been exploding for the last year and a half. I mean, the new report from Stop AAPI Hate just came out saying that now reported hate crimes against Asians from March of last year to March of this year is up to 6,600. And those are just the reported cases. So that's just a fraction of what's been going on, because we see these attacks every day over and over again. So I'm wondering, Molly first, and then I'm going to ask Noel, what does this tell you about how, I mean, to me, okay, I'll share how I feel. I feel like this is still not being taken seriously as a crisis. Like, people are still saying, no big deal. It's not a problem. He can handle it. He's fine. He doesn't need any help. So to Asians, it makes us feel like people are still in denial about the seriousness of this crisis. Molly, what are your thoughts?
I think, you're absolutely right. And I think there's a long history of that happening in our country, where the racism and the oppression that Asian people face is minimized, and it's seen as, not a big deal, when in reality we can see the numbers, and we can see the footage of our people being killed and hurt on the streets. And I mean, it's baffling to me why that's still the case. And it's just, I mean, all that we can really do is keep on doing the work on the ground and keep on
and speaking out. And speaking
absolutely.
Out. That's why, Noel, I think I so appreciate you being willing to speak openly about what happened to you. I know initially, I remember seeing one of the very first interviews that you did right after your attack, really. And I was like, whoa, I can't believe he's, giving an interview. And at that point, you said, this probably isn't an anti-Asian hate crime. And you were even a little bit confused as to whether or not it was, if that was the motivation. But how are you feeling now about what happened to you, and then all the other incidents you keep on seeing happening in New York and San Francisco and LA and all across the country? Do you now feel differently about what happened to you and this crisis of anti-Asian hate?
Well, yes. Actually, when they interviewed me right after I just released from the hospital, I was waiting for the Uber to get home, and there's a reporter there who wants to interview me, and they said, "Okay, yes," because I was watching the news in my room before being discharged, and Mayor de Blasio said that the crime in the city, especially in the subway, was low compared last year. I said, yeah, it was compared last year. It's low because there's no riders in the subway.
Right.
Because of COVID-19, there's no riders. So if you compared it from last year, just comparing apple to orange, so it's not comparable at all. But it doesn't mean that the subway is safe. So when the reporter was available, I took this advantage just to say what I felt, what I felt, and what happened to me. And unfortunately, it was the only one that I spoke what happened to me, because most of the victims are not really saying anything about it. It's either they want their privacy, or they can't communicate very well.
Right.
But it has to be communicated so that there is something that we could do about it. Because if we just stay timid and don't say anything, then it will happen. It will not stop. It will only aggravate, and in our society, in our country, yeah.
Exactly.
So that's what I prompt me
You,
to say
Noel, I
something.
have to ask you though, are you angry? Are you angry that this happened to you?
Uh, Not really, not eerie, not really, because when I spoke that evening to a reporter and became an advocate, I thought that it might be my advocacy or it would be my purpose in life. How how sad that it have to be happen in order for me to be involved in this kind of advocacy. But they prompt me because they're telling me that every time there is an Asian hate being perpetrated, uh, my face is there. They always showing my face. So I became a rallying point of this anti-Asian hate. And for me, it's okay if it's my advocacy now, then let it be.
I that is so courageous, and it's so inspiring for you to take something that is so horrible that should never have happened to anyone, and now using it for good. I have faith. I'm a believer, in God, and so there is a verse where it says, in all things God creates good, right? Uses for good. That means good and bad, right? And for those of you out there who aren't believing, that's fine. I'm not trying to preach and like try to convert, but I do believe that we are on this earth for a purpose. We have to believe that we have a higher purpose of some kind. And sometimes it takes a tragedy, or sometimes it takes an adversity or a challenge for us to become more aware of that purpose. But my God, Noel, what you've been through, I'm not sure if the average person would be able to handle it in that way and then now say that you're using it for advocacy. So it is, I mean, it's wonderful. Katrina and Molly, no wonder you guys wanted to help him, but then now realizing the kind of person he is, getting to know him, you must feel changed as well and inspired by him. And therefore you continue to do the work and maintain this beautiful friendship with him. So tell me about your personal thoughts of Noel and like what this experience has been for you so far. Molly, why don't you go ahead first?
Yeah, I mean, no, you're a better person than me. I think I would, if I was in your position, I would never be able to have a smile on my face, or to, to say that something good can come out of this. I don't think I would be able to bring myself to do that. And I think that's just there's so much power in that. And I mean, honestly, it's been inspiring me, and your story and knowing you has been a huge part of what drives me to do this every day, and I honestly, I just feel so lucky to know you, and it it's just so inspirational to me. And I'm a lot younger than a lot of people that I'm working with, and I have a lot to learn, but I really think that knowing you has like gotten me really far, and I really think that'll help me throughout my life and in everything that I do, is that your spirit and the way that you face these challenges. I think it's incredible.
So well said. Thank you.
Thank you.
Katrina?
Right.
I know.
I've been crying.
I know. I mean, me too. So I was an idiot and I didn't put Kleenex next to me. So
Well, Noel, but really Noel has helped me out with. I'm naturally very scared. Public speaking is not something that I feel that I'm good at. But yet, when I first saw Noel shared about right after he literally got out of the hospital and sharing what happened to him, I thought, what a brave man this man is, that I want to imitate that. That when I'm scared, I wouldn't let my fear control me, but rather like I can control fear to I guess to tell people what's the most important thing. And I think for Noel, he has done that so beautifully. Where I know it's not always excited to share his story, to share what happened to him. I don't want him to feel like he has to go back to that incident to share his story again. But for him to be so selfless, is to tell people his story, to give people hope, because he has given me hope. He has given me voice that I never thought I have. And so yes, I feel like whenever I feel just overwhelmed with what's happening in the Asian American community, I think of Noel. I think of if he has the courage to get up every single day, every morning with a scar in his face and still have that, like what Molly said, smile in his face and say that, and tell himself it's going to be a good day for me despite. So I think that, like, I think of if I'm going to have a bad day, I think of Noel. I think of how he's trying every single day to have a good day, to have a smile on his face. And it's been an honor. And I feel that I have also learned a lot from you, Noel, not just what I need to learn in life, to forgive. I mean, the fact that he has forgiven his perpetrator. The very first question I had for him when I first met him, I said, have you forgiven your perpetrator? And with a smile on his face, he said, yes. And I thought to myself, I don't know if I could, like, right away. But I think of that. I think of that all the time. If Noel can forgive his perpetrator and not hold that back from that guy, because really forgiveness sometimes is for yourself. And I think of if Noel can forgive to have a better life. And I always tell him, your best revenge is to have the best life ever, even after this attack. And that's what he's doing. And I love that about him. And so yeah, it's been such an honor to know you. Not just, I said, learn, just the meaning of life, but he can also cook me. He tells me recipes. So whenever I want to cook something, I ask Noel, hey, Noel, how do you cook this?
Oh my gosh. Noel, can you tell me, what do you think about what these young women have just said about you?
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. When Katrina called me and texted me, I just texted everybody. I just answered everybody who texted me in the message in the messenger, because I thought that's my advocacy. But when he continuously texting me and calling me, I said, oh, now he's my he's now
yeah, you've got two close friends you've developed because of this, right?
Yeah,
like family.
but
Almost like seems like you guys have become family. And Noel, I know that all of your family is back in the Philippines, right? So you don't have any family here.
Actually, I do. I have a sister in Florida.
In Florida, okay, in Florida,
yes.
But nowhere local. Nobody local.
No. Yeah. So yeah. So they texted me and they talked to me, and yeah, more than my siblings, because my siblings will only talk once a day, every night. But Katrina almost told me every minute, every hour. Yeah.
See, I mean, that tells us a lot about Katrina and both Molly too.
Yeah.
Noel, if I can ask you this final question then. Katrina just talked about your ability to forgive. And that is a very difficult thing for a lot of people to even consider after something so horrible and so violent. My father was killed by a 16-year-old driver 10 years ago. And the notion of forgiving did not cross my mind for a very long time. I finally did, because as you just said, Katrina, forgiveness is more for yourself than it is about the other person, right? Because you can let go, you can at least release. Yes. And forgiveness doesn't necessarily mean you're condoning the behavior. You're not saying it was okay what he did, but you're saying I'm letting it go, right?
Yes.
So it took me a very long time though to get there, years. So I'm wondering, how is it that you were able to forgive so quickly? What is it about you, Noel, that you were able to get to that place?
Well, I don't know. Maybe because I'm a forgiving person. Maybe I've been wrong several times. I've been cheated. I've been cheated in a business way back in the Philippines. And when they just asked me, and when they just asked for forgiveness, and then they said yes, right, just right away. Maybe because well, I didn't say it's my nature, but it's a gift from God. Because we cannot forgive everybody without without coming from God, because God gives all the gifts. The Holy Spirit gives the gifts to us. One is forgiveness, I think. Yeah, faith and everything. So maybe I have that gift from God to forgive everyone. So I easily forgive those who wronged me, but as you said, not necessarily uh, forget the things that they have done. Yeah, because uh, what he did for me is not supposed to be done to anybody. So yeah,
Yeah.
but I have forgiven him for what he did. Yeah.
I respect you so much.
So it is not coming from me, but it's coming from maybe it's a gift.
Amen.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I don't doubt that whatsoever.
Yeah.
And so I think that you have now been given a gift and a purpose from above to
Yeah.
use what happened to you for the greater good. And I just am so grateful and thankful for you, Noel, and your life and the way you're using it. So thank you so much. I can't thank you enough for sharing your story. And with that smile on your face, I mean, seriously, the fact that you're always smiling is just that alone is enough to just like make anyone's day.
Yeah.
Katrina and Molly, thank you for your your ability to kind of show this humanity. And that's the other reason why I wanted to do this interview, is that in our darkness right now, there's a lot going on that's really bad in our world.
Mhm.
But you two are proving that there's this humanity and this care and compassion that still exists
Yeah.
for each other. As strangers, you came to the aid of Noel, and now you have gotten so much out of it yourselves. And that is the beauty of giving, because usually you get more out of it than you thought you were going to. So thank you to you both. You give me hope that the young people of this world, they're going to go out and make a difference and do some good to turn things around. So yeah, thank you, ladies.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All of you take very good care, and let's all stay in touch now. Okay. Because I love this. I love it.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Take
Yeah.
care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Well, I hope you were inspired by that story. I hope you now see the importance of, not walking away from something and really seeing how people are affected. And this is a story that really encompasses everything from, the horror of what's going on in our world today, but also the idea of compassion, about empathy, and about forgiveness. That's so powerful to me that Noel can find it in his heart so quickly to forgive, even though he's going to have to live with this the rest of his life. So I ask those of you who are listening and watching, if there's any way that you can help, please go to his GoFundMe page. Just look up Noel Quintana, and his name is spelled Noel, and then last name Quintana, Quintana. Quintana. And then you'll be able to find that GoFundMe page. If there's anything you can do to help, I think it would be so appreciated. And now you've seen him and heard from him. You see how genuine he is and what a lovely, lovely soul he has. And for those organizations out there who might be listening or watching this show, if you can help, that'd be great. You know, there's a lot of organizations now who have gotten a lot of attention because of what's going on with anti-Asian hate. And, you know, some of those funds that, we all have helped to raise, it'd be great if it could continue to go directly towards victims like Noel and others. So if you're listening or watching and you need more information, or if you need to be put in touch with Noel or Katrina or Molly, let me know. Send me a message, call me, whatever it takes, and I will put you in touch with the right people. Okay, so thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And I hope that this does resonate with all of you. The power of love, the power of forgiveness, the power of friendship. We all need to think about that and take that into our lives a little bit more, I think, on a daily basis. If we all did, I think this world would be a much better place. Okay. All right, everyone. Take care. Stay safe. Until next time. Bye-bye.